Hi, hello, how are you? I am Scout and welcome to this. I almost said this week as if I publish a video every week. That's not who I am. Welcome to this video. Okay, so I'm so excited about this video. This is a gift guide and I think this is going to be a part 1. I'm wanting to make a part 2. I kind of wanted to do for the girlies, for the boys, kind of sectioned it out. Mainly because I need to research more for the boys. I need to call my dad because I wanted to do kind of funny little categories, the hyper specific categories. I love when people do those videos where it's for the person in your life who's obsessed with World War II, it's read this book. But I am not a middle-aged man who's obsessed with World War II, so I need to call my dad and ask him about it because he is that guy. So I decided to kind of do it into the different types of girlies that I see online, and I thought that would be really, really fun. Just totally lost my train. This was kind of came about mainly because I was on a run last night and it started snowing, which was demonic. I actually hated that, but I was like, oh, it's time. I can do a fun little gift guide, and I am so excited. This is it for me. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm doing 8 different types of people, and I'm just gonna get right into it. Okay, so this first 2 are not specific about these 2 books. It is more about the publishers. These are for the girl in your life who really curates her shelf. I am also super guilty of this, of wanting to have really, really pretty books and almost use your books as decor while also reading them. And I do actually read these. My mom actually got mad at me because I brought one of these to the beach. And she was like, you can't be doing that. That book is too nice to bring to the beach. And I'm like, well, it's a book. It's supposed to be read. But I understood her point. I got why she was like, don't do that. Okay, so the first publishing company I kind of want to shout out is Chiltern. So this is my Chiltern copy of Little Women. So it's kind of got that 2D graphic as well as the sprayed edges and the bookmark. So kind of Chiltern's mission is to bring back the kind of classic packaging of books, which I think is really gorgeous. This is really great for someone who really does care about how it looks on their shelf. And I read Little Women when I was a lot younger, so this copy I actually haven't physically leafed through to read Little Women, but this is a book that I really loved and I didn't own a copy of it, so I ended up getting a really pretty copy, which I think a lot of people do. I think that's kind of the case in general. They're just beautiful hand-bound books, and the font is a little small, but they're still completely readable. I read Pride and Prejudice for the first time with my Chiltern of Pride and Prejudice, and I really loved it. It made me feel so glamorous reading it. But I think Chilterns are one of the most beautiful options, and from my experience, they're really nice quality. They don't break or anything like that. They hold up pretty well. And so I've had a really positive experience with Chilterns, and I think a lot of people would really love this design. The other publishing company that makes beautiful copies is the Harper Muse painted editions. So I brought my Great Gatsby one out because look at this book. It is so gorgeous, this cover. It also has the sprayed edges and it also has the bookmark. I usually tuck this because if I have one complaint about the painted collection, why is this tail this long? I have a cat who likes to attack bookmarks, and this is actively a problem for me, so I have to tuck them. That's my biggest complaint with the Harper Muse books. I think these are absolutely gorgeous as well. And it just depends on aesthetic preference. If you are more of a Chiltern versus a painted. Obviously, as you can see, I own both of them. So I just kind of pick and choose which one has the prettiest cover. The reason I wanted to speak about these 2 publishing companies specifically, or these editions, is because these are the only 2 that I've personally bought. I've seen beautiful other ones at the other bookstores, but these are the only 2 that I can speak to. I will say this one, when I got some of the books shipped to me, I have a couple of them, I did get a massive dent in one of them, which I don't think that that's the company's fault. I think that's just a thing that happens in shipping, but just something to know that if you do buy, if you're like, my friend would love these painteds, there is a chance that it could get damaged in shipping. These ones, man, they survive. This has survived like 3 moves with me, where it's getting thrown in a tote and like getting a bunch of books smashed on top of it, and like not me being super careful with it because it's not actually vintage, and it has kept well. So I think this is a really great option, as well as the Harper Muse Painted. I think the painteds are really cool as well. Obviously, I would not be mentioning these if I did not think they were cool, but this is kind of for those person who curates their shelf and maybe wants a more beautiful book and you're not really sure what to get them. Buy them a classic that they've either said they wanted to read or that they love in a pretty copy. People love it. It's a crowd pleaser. Okay. The next is for the person in your life who loves true crime. I think I've mentioned it in another video. I don't think I cut it out. I have a really complex relationship with true crime. I don't really like it. I think it's exploitative most of the time, but I'm also completely cognizant of the fact that true crime is adored by a lot of people and a lot of people find solace in it. So I wanted to recommend a book that's like for the girly in your life who's obsessed with true crime. And kind of when I was approaching this, I was thinking, okay, like how do you find the perfect true crime book for someone who's already interested in true crime? Or someone who's new to true crime who's kind of getting into it. And kind of the goal is to pick a less popular case. I hate that language, but that is like kind of how it is. Like a case that's not covered super in depth, but is still really interesting. So I kind of like looked through some true crime books from when I used to read true crime books, and I found this one and I was like, this is it. This is not as popular as a lot of other cases, and it's so well written, like so well written. I am going to be talking about that the most probably because I cannot talk about the contents of this book because this is going on the internet, and I like literally cannot talk about the contents, but this book is so well written. Like I think I need to Google this author again and see if she's written any other books because like I love her writing and I would like to read more of her work. And this book is Don't Call It a Cult by Sarah Berman. So this is about the Nixon cult, and this would be a really good book for anyone who's getting into true crime or is already into true crime. There was a documentary made about this, but I still think this would be a really good book series, Apparently there's a lot of things that happen in this cult. I think that this would be a really good book to give them because it's really interesting, as well as I don't find this book as exploitative as other books because she interviews a lot of the survivors, because in this situation there isn't a lot of deaths in it, so she can interview like a ton of the people that were involved in the situation. So it feels a lot better that she's like retelling the victim's stories. She's helping them reclaim their stories, which I really, really liked. And so I found this book really great. I obviously cannot talk about the contents of this book online, but I think this is really great. I actually would favorably like compare her writing to... Oh, I took it down already. Oh, I took it down. Sorry, this is my second time filming this. I'd favorably compare her to John Bateson with Education of a Coroner, which if you have not seen my favorite books of all time, this is one of my favorite books of all time. I think it's so well written. So if I am favorably comparing her to him, I think that is like a glowing recommendation. I think this book is really, really well written. And I think it would be interesting where it's also not exploitative. It would get you interested if you're not. I know cults can kind of be hit or miss for true crime people. They're either really interested in them or they're like not interested in them at all. I think this cult's interesting enough that it will grip even a true crime fan who maybe isn't interested in cults as much. And there's a higher likelihood they haven't read this book. Not because it didn't do well. I think this book did really well in general, but more it's because it's a cult, it kind of didn't get pushed as much by like true crime people online. So I think this is a really great option for a true crime person in your life. Okay, the next one is for the young girly in your life, or even just like a person in your life who really likes YA books. And I am not always keen on YA, but this book series changed my mind. Like, it literally changed my opinion on YA books. My biggest issue with YA in the past, and I'm gonna talk about it just so that I can explain why I like this book so much, because this book doesn't do the problem that I have, which is where they want to talk about a serious topic because, like, yeah, duh. Like, especially with mystery books, which this is a mystery, you're going to talk about something that's a little bit more serious. But because it's a YA book, they kind of go about discussing that serious issue in a weird way. They either make it really vague so then it's still appropriate for audiences, but they brought up the serious issue, or they don't really address it very well because they're trying to keep it appropriate. And that totally makes sense. I totally understand why that happens in YA books, because obviously you don't want to have a graphic part of your story if it's for YA. Like, there's a reason why it's YA and not just adult literature. I found this series did a really good job at talking about really serious issues and not having that YA vagueness that comes sometimes with YA books. And I think that's really a true testament to the authors and how good they are at writing. I think the YA books that transcend YA, like The Hunger Games, it's because the author is so good. Like, Suzanne Collins is just really good at writing. And I think these two authors similarly have that appeal, that they're just really good at writing. They can talk about those hard issues at an appropriate level for young adults, but also wrote it for young adults, if that makes sense. And so I only have the second book with me in my possession, mainly because book one has an ugly cover. I hope if the people see this, they know that the softback cover for book one, I'd like that in hardcover too, okay? But this is the second book. This is called The Night in Question. The first book is called The Agathas, and I will show you the cover. That is the softback cover. I'm like, why is that not the hardback cover? It matches this hardback. Whatever. It's by Liz Lawson and Kathleen Glasgow, who are prolific YA authors. I have not read any of their other work, but I really enjoyed these two books. And I actually, every 2 to 3 months, will Google The Agathas, book 3. There's no updates, in case anyone's wondering. Or at least no updates by the time this video is going up. But I really love this book. It follows 2 young women. It's Alice and Iris. And I'm going to keep it kind of vague, especially since there's 2 books in this series. I just really don't want to accidentally spoil plot that's in the first book. But it's about 2 young women, and basic premise is they are obsessed with Agatha Christie and mystery novels, and one of them went missing for 2 weeks. She pulled an Agatha Christie and went missing. And when she comes back, she needs a tutor, and so the other girl is her tutor. And they try and solve some crimes that are happening in their town. And I'm gonna keep it at that because I just don't want to spoil anything else. These books are so good. They're so fun. I feel that they're really realistic, the way that the women talk to each other, the way that their relationship develops over the series, all the other characters. I have really enjoyed this and I really liked it. I just think this is phenomenal. It's a great YA. And so if you maybe have a younger niece and they're into reading, I think this would be a great option, this series, because these authors are in general really well known and really well liked YA authors, and this is just a phenomenal book. And obviously pick up the first book, The Agathas, first, not the second one, but I think they're really, really great. So just a little shout out to these books. I think they're really good for the YA girlies in your life. Okay, so this next book is for the person who is the ultimate beach reader. To me, a beach reader is someone who doesn't really read unless they're on holiday, and they want a book that's light and fun and also a little bit of murder. I find that most people who like beach reads want a little bit of murder, just a little, on the side. And so I was reading this book. I read it at the beach. And it actually has stains from my sunscreen on the cover, which you're just gonna have to pretend you don't see. I'm really hoping it just doesn't show up on the camera, but This book is such a beach read. Okay, so this is Swiped by L.M. Chilton. So this is about a girl named Gwen. Her life is hot mess express. Like, she is floundering behavior. She like broke up with her boyfriend. Her job is like going down in streaks, and she also, her like best friend is getting married. So like kind of like everyone's moving on with their life. She's stuck there. And she goes out on a date on like, I think it's Tinder. I don't know if he like got the legal rights to say Tinder. She's on a dating app. She goes on a date with a guy. This is on the Jack of Flaps, so this is not a spoiler. She goes on a date. She comes home from the date. The guy gets murdered. And she's like, oh my God. She goes on another date. Guy gets murdered. And she's like, oh my God. So she like doesn't know, like, is she a target? Are they like targeting people on the app? Is it like just like a coincidence that she was on a date with both these guys? And she's like, or is someone framing me? So she's like kind of like freaking out, and she puts on like her detective cap and goes and rides around on her bike around town trying to solve it. And it's just so fun. One of the like little pull quotes that's on the front is like, it's Bridget Jones' Diary meets Scream. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's so fun. Like, those are both like lighthearted, fun vibes. So I would agree with that kind of assessment of the book. It's just so fun, so lighthearted. You're kind of beefing with the main character sometimes because you're like, can you make a good choice? Please, please, for me, can you make the good choice? But in general, I really liked this book. I thought it was really fun, a really great beach read. It's like not as like an insult or anything. This book screams airport. Like, I could find this book in an airport, and I should find this book in an airport. This book is a good airport book. I really like it. I think this is really good, and I think a lot of people who maybe don't always read would really enjoy it. It's super easy to read. It's super flowy, fun, just an all-around really great book. Okay, the next one is for someone who either wants to get into nonfiction or already loves nonfiction, and this is Cultish by Amanda Montell. And I know this works for someone who wants to get into nonfiction because my coworker saw me reading it and she's like, I hate nonfiction. And I was like, you won't hate this book. And you know what? She read it and she loved it. So it definitely does work for someone who's not interested in nonfiction. And this is so great. So this is about the language of fanaticism. So it kind of talks about how like brands and cults use linguistical patterns to lure people in, to kind of create this like parasocial relationship so then you don't want to leave them. And it's so interesting. I felt like I learned so much. And some of the things she says, you're like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. And you're like, well, that makes sense though. But like, you never thought of it that way. I think this book is really, really great. I haven't read her first book. I actually would really want to read it. It's similar in vibe to this. I read her third book and I wasn't as keen on that book, but I did really love this book, and so I really wanted to shout it out. She does talk a little bit like personal anecdotes. Her father was in a cult, that was crazy having that mentioned right at the beginning. I was like, oh. And she does some one-off interviews. This book there's some weird elitism about nonfiction books where I think some people would like argue that this isn't real nonfiction. I don't know what that means. It's clearly nonfiction. But like people who would argue that like there's no scientific studies that she personally did. I love this book. I think this book is really great. And I kind of love the more personal styling that tends to happen in like pop nonfictions, like popular nonfiction, where there tends to be more anecdotal and kind of fun little stories to fill in. I tend to really like that. I think that's really good for someone who's getting interested in nonfiction. So I think this book was phenomenal. I really liked this book, and I'm really interested in her debut novel as well. Maybe I'll ask for that for like Christmas, because I actually really loved this book, and I would love to read that first book. It's so interesting to me. Okay. This next book is for the person who loves classics or the person who wants to get into classics. You can kind of see that that's kind of the trend. It's like they want to be this kind of reader, or they are this reader. So this is a classic that I feel gets overlooked like a lot and doesn't always get marked as a classic, but it's like clearly a classic book. and it's Gentlemen Prefer Blondes by Anita Luz. And this follows Lorelai, and she's a dumb blonde. She's not. She's not a dumb blonde, but she's kind of a girly who cares about materialistic stuff. And so people kind of perceive her as kind of dumb, but she's not. And it's following her diaries of her life, and it's just kind of fun. It really, this book feels like when you read an older book and you're like, oh, so we're always the same. Like, people have been the same forever. I really love this book. I think it's so fun. There's a quote that they put on the back, which, like, it's a great quote, where it's like, kisses on my hand are great, but like a diamond bracelet lasts forever. Where you're like, oh, okay, girl. I specifically bought this copy because it has an introduction by Candace Bushnell, so the writer of Sex and the City, like the book, like the original inspiration. And I really loved that, and I thought that was so cool. I think this is really great in general for anyone who wants to read classics, because it's a little bit shorter, it's a little bit more friendly of a classic, and if you already read classics, there's a chance that you might have missed this one, and I think that would be a really great option for someone in your life who is really interested in reading classics. Okay, so the next book is, this one was the one that was the hardest to categorize. I'm gonna go with, this is for a hot girl. This is a hot girl read, which I sometimes hate that terminology because it's so vague. And like, there's so many books that I could pick that are like a hot girl read. But to me, a hot girl is someone who is interested in intersectional feminism. So this is where I'm feeling. And like someone who maybe has feminine rage, who cares about things that are bigger than them. And so I really think this book is a really good recommendation for the hot girl in your life. And I'm probably going to mispronounce a name because this is a foreign novel. So I'm very sorry in advance. It's hard with names because I'll Google, like, how do you say that name before these videos? And sometimes in interviews, it's really hard to hear their name being pronounced correctly. And also, I've learned from some artists like Tuvlu that like her name was being pronounced Tovlo, and that wasn't actually how you pronounced it, and it was being pronounced like that for years. So like, I know sometimes interviews don't even get it right, and so it's really hard sometimes to look up like actual people's names, because names can be, even if it's spelled this traditional way, it can be pronounced a different way. So I'm gonna try my best to say this author's name right, as well as the title of the book, because the title of the book is a name. But just know that I actually did research it and tried, and someone's gonna make fun of me for that I still couldn't do it. Okay. Kim Jun, born 1982, and it's by Chu Nam-ju. So this book is phenomenal. This is one of those books, I've talked about it before, and maybe I'll make a video about it around my birthday, where it's like books that I think every person in their 20s should read. This is one of those books. Like, this book is phenomenal. It follows a woman who has a mental breakdown, and she starts going by one of her former classmates' names, and it kind of follows her life then afterwards and kind of shows like what caused this mental breakdown. So it kind of does like a flashback, and it shows periods of her life and how like misogyny in South Korea has impacted her. And this book is so good. I love it. I got it from my library, loved it, read it in a day, then bought my own copy. And when I was reading the back of my copy, it said something about K-pop stars love this book. And I was like, what? Like, that's such a funny addition to the back. And I looked it up, and apparently a K-pop star like posted that they had read this book and really liked it, and it like blew the book up even bigger. And I was like, good, because this book is so amazing. And I think a lot of South Korean women have said that they really relate to the struggles of the main character, and that experience is very real, and that made me very sad. Like, the experiences in the book are not very fun experiences, but it also made me really happy that these women found solace in a character in a book and could create a community themselves. And so I think this book's really important. I think it's really good. And I think all hot girls should read it. So if you have not read it, or you have a hot girl in your life, this is the book. It is so good. Okay, for my last recommendation, and I felt like this was the one I thought about this for days. I like went through 4 different options for books for this. I wanted to do one for the girly who uses TikTok as a TBR, because I know that's the case for a lot of people where like they will pick their next book based off of what's going viral on TikTok, which totally makes sense. If the general public likes the book, why wouldn't you like the book? And so I was like, okay, what do you get someone who uses TikTok as a TBR? And also, I'll just pointedly say, I don't have a TikTok. My friend and I, we make little podcasts where we just send each other voice memos, and I tell her about pop culture, like celebrity drama, and she tells me about TikTok. So we keep it up. So I'm pretty up to date on what's going on there and like what kind of books are going viral on TikTok. And so I was really interested in finding a romance book that would appeal to TikTok readers, but also wasn't one that went viral on TikTok. And I think that's the key. If you have someone in your life who loves TikTok and uses it to find their books, you should pick a book that fits the vibe, but isn't viral on TikTok. Because if it is viral there is a chance that they have already read it, or they've seen the book and they were uninterested in it based off of the virality of it. So I kind of picked a book that is like a fun romance. It's easy to read, just like, and a crowd pleaser, just like the books that go viral on TikTok, but isn't a viral TikTok book, but really could be. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if this book went viral on TikTok. So the book is The Proposal by Jasmine Gilroy. I wouldn't be shocked if one of her other books has gone viral, but I don't think this specific book has. And kind of like what I was saying, this book just really embodies a lot of the things that I think those book talk books have. The only one that it doesn't is like fantasy, but it really hits the other points of like, it's very easy to read, it's really fun, it's crowd pleasing, and it's romantic, which I think are 4 of the other elements that happen in those books that go viral. So I still think this is a really good choice, even though it's missing that fantasy element. So this book is about a character named Nicole, and she's dating this guy who has like a man bun, and she's just like not super interested. They don't really have a lot in common. She's like, I think we're gonna break up. Like, I don't think he really likes me that much. And they go to this baseball game, and he proposes on the Jumbotron. And she's like, I thought we were on the same page that we should break up. And so she gets booed when she says no. And this guy and his sister go and help her like escape the crowd because they're kind of worried that she's gonna get like mobbed. And it's about her relationship with them. And I think it's such a fun book, so lighthearted. I read this a couple of years ago, and I still recommend this to people when they're like, I'm looking for a romance. I'm like, I think this book is really worth your time. It's just really fun. This is the second book in the series. I say series with heavy air quotes because the way Jasmine does the series is that each book is a different couple, so you actually don't need to read the entire series, but you'll see the couples from the first book pop up in this book. So you really don't need to read the other books in the series, but you can if you want to, which I think is kind of a fun conceit. I like that for a series with romance. Instead of watching a couple have the same issues over and over again, just having multiple different couples that you get to see like grow over time. I think that's fun. And so I think this is just a really great book for the person in your life who is maybe a TikTok TBR person. So those are all my recommendations for this first video. I'm hoping to make a part 2. Just got to research a little bit more. I want to make sure that I'm recommending like really good books. So that is all for this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.